Hi, first grade. Today we're going to work on our second skill for Unit 5, Week 6. And the page number that we're going to practice today for this skill is page 175. It actually looks like a fun page to work on. Look at all those cool pictures. So in this lesson, we're going to practice some long vowel sound spellings, and I'll teach you how to do that. Okay. Now let's start with review, what we already know. Did you hear me say long vowels? And did you see the cards behind me? So we're going to work on long vowels, 2 of them. Can you guess which ones they are? Look at the pictures and say the words to yourself. Ice cream, ocean. Can you tell that's an ocean? Now, I usually point to a sound spelling on the card and identify one that's important today. Our sound spelling is not on the card today. And I'll tell you why. We're not working with a vowel pair today. We're going to work with a spelling pattern, and I'm going to refer to those patterns as rhymes. I'm also going to refer to them as a word family. Now, you remember word families, words that rhyme. They have a different beginning sound, but the same ending sound. Let's think of a rhyme like right now. Cat, fat. That was a word family that you practiced many, many months ago in kindergarten. Cat and fat rhyme. They have different beginning sounds, but they have the same sound spelling at the end. All right, now we're going to look at our vowels today, what sound they make when you read them, and then we'll look at our spelling pattern. We don't call them word families as much in first grade because you want to identify them by their spelling, sound spelling. Okay, so let's review long O and long I. Can you read those 2 words? And I put the vowels in red just to remember. Whole. So we made the sound of long O when it says its name, and then the E was silent. You remember that sound spelling pattern. And then fire, long I, silent E. The long I sound says its name, I. That's what long vowels do. They say their letter name. This week, we're going to find some spelling patterns for long O and long I that only have 1 vowel, but you say its name anyway. So it's a different sound spelling than you've practiced before, but it'll be words you know how to read. Okay, so let's look at O. The long O in these words. Here's your base word, most. And I underlined OST because that's your spelling pattern for O this week. That's one of them. Now, do you see how the beginning letter changes? But the spelling pattern after that doesn't change. It stays the same, which creates a rhyme. Let's read the rhymes together. Most, post, host. Did you get it? My finger was covering it. All right, now let's try long I. I'll show the board, and you read them, and then we'll talk about the rhymes. Okay, did you do it? So my first word is kind. And I underlined the part that will rhyme. So you begin with your first sound. It's called the onset of the word. Kind. And I blend it. So if you didn't know how to read that word, here's how you do it. You start with your first sound and then you blend the part that rhymes. Kind. Eind. And the last one, mind. Now, you probably didn't need to sound those out, but if you did, that's how we would do it. We would use the beginning sound and blend the spelling pattern. All right, now let's look at some other ways that we are going to spell long O and long I today. Now, I'm calling them long vowel patterns up here. Spelling patterns, long vowel patterns, word families, rhymes. I can identify them a lot of different ways. If I say spelling pattern, same as sound spelling. If I say word family, if I say rhyme, they're all the same idea. Okay. Let's start with O. Look over here to the left. Do you see that spelling pattern? It's not just the word old, and I'm going to put a dash here. Let me tell you what that dash means. That dash means there's a letter that's going to come before it. So it's not a standalone word. Now, old is a standalone word, but for this lesson, you're learning that it's a spelling pattern that helps you sound out the long vowel sound. Okay? Here we go. And Mrs. Coppola is not sure the board is visible to you. Here we go. Old is the vowel pattern for long O. Now remember, when you read them, you're going to hear the rhyme. Let's start with this list. Ready? Gold. And if you didn't know the word, you sound out the first letter and then the spelling pattern. Gold. And the next word, told. And the next word, bold. And the next word, cold. I just made 4 rhymes using the spelling pattern for long O. And remember, it's not a vowel pair this week. It's a vowel with a spelling pattern that rhymes. Okay, next one. So my spelling pattern, oast. Can you say that? Say oast. And let's read our rhymes. Most. Post. Host. 3 words that rhyme. Okay, now we're going to move to long I. Long I has 2 different spelling patterns this week. Do you see them up here? ILD and IND. And the dash means that a beginning sound goes there. They're not words by themselves. Okay, here we go. You read the rhymes. This one's a little harder because you had to blend the CH sound spelling with your vowel pattern. Did you read it? Child. Remember, it's long vowel I. If you looked at this word, let's go back up to the top, and you said, willed, will doesn't sound right. When I said willed, I used short I and not long I when I says its name. It's one of my favorite strategies. If it sounds weird or if it looks weird, try again. Wild. Did you read that one? Mild. And the last one, child. Okay, let's go over to this final long I spelling pattern. Eind. So let's read the words that rhyme with eind. Kind. Rind. Blind. And the last one, find. Let's go back up to rind. I like you to understand the word meanings. If you can spell it, but you don't know what it means, you can't use it when you write. Rind. Do you know what a rind is? My best example would be when you eat a watermelon and you eat the red juicy part, but you leave the green hard part. That's the rind. How about this word blind? You know what that means. A person who cannot see is blind. And one of the great Americans we learned about, Helen Keller, was blind. And the last word, find. Hey, let's try a reading challenge right now. Let's read with speed. Ready? Let's read all the rhymes quickly. Can you do it? Now I'll do it. Gold, told, bold, cold. Can you read them that fast? Rhymes are fun. How about this one? Read them fast. Most, post, host. Did you do it? Okay, how about this one? Read them fast. Wild, mild, child. We sound like Dr. Seuss, don't we? And the last one. Read them fast. Read with speed. Kind, rind, blind, find. Did you do it? Okay, good. Now we're going to do one more activity together. I like to read them in sentences, so I'm going to put my chart. And here we go. Number 1, and I put a spelling word in there so we could practice them that way. You read it, and then we'll read it together. Did you see the wild animal? Did you notice the punctuation? It's a question. So when you read it, you should read it with the right expression. It's good to check out your punctuation before you start. Then you know how to read the sentence, so it makes sense. I wouldn't say, did you see the wild animal? That doesn't give the right expression for a question. I say it like a question. That's called tone. Did you see the wild animal? Did you see the wild animal? Number 2, you read it first. Are you a kind host? It's another question. Don't read it like a robot. Are you a kind host? If you read it that way the first time and you figure out it's a question, go back and read it with expression. Are you a kind host? What's a host? When you invite somebody to your house, they're the guest and you're the host. I hope you're a kind host. Number 3. Look at my punctuation. My dad found gold. I say it with excitement. I say it with feeling. If you found gold, you'd be excited. Okay, number 4. It's a statement. It has a period there. The weather is mild. What does mild mean? Well, it's the opposite of wild. So think of wild weather, storms and wind, maybe rain and snow. Wild is the opposite of mild. Mild means to be calm. So the weather today is mild. I just looked out my window. There's no wind. The sun is out. The weather is mild. Number 5. Did you read it? Who had the most cards? Most. A lot. In our class, I think somebody gathered like 10 godly character cards at one time. Sorry, in room 16, because this goes out to all of first grade. Who had the most cards? I think Julian might have stored up 10 godly character cards for, and do you know how many prizes that equals? 5 and 5, 2 prizes. Okay, last one. Number 6. That's an interesting long O word. Did you get it? Scold. I had to scold my cat. What does that mean to scold? Well, when my cat tries to scratch the couch, I scold my cat. I say, no, Judah, don't do that. To scold is to reprimand or to tell somebody no because they're doing something wrong or dangerous. Now let's look back and just read the red letter words to practice our sound spelling one more time. Okay, our vowel patterns. Wild, host, gold, mild, most, scold. Good job.